The globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat, the human drama of athletic competition. This
This video cassette is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you.
Some people think it's crazy to drive a car over 200 miles an hour. But I'll tell you what crazy is. Crazy is driving any car when you've had too much to drink. So please, don't drink and drive.
A reminder from Budweiser. Relive the thrilling and agonizing moments of 3 decades of ABC's Wide World of Sports in this exclusive video collection, premiering with the 1960s and continuing through the 70s and the 80s. This is the best of ABC's Wide World of Sports, available now wherever video cassettes are sold. This is the best of ABC's Wide World of Sports on video cassette, beginning with the 1960s, and Jim McKay was there at the start.
sports, in its unending variety, unfolds on ABC's Wide World of Sports, capturing the sight and sound, the emotion, the beauty and history-making achievements wherever men gather to compete in this great wide world of athletics.
There was triumph for some athletes. Jim Ryan.
He's gonna make it. He's gonna run the first 4-minute mile.
It looks like he made it unofficially, 3:58.6.
Valerie Brumell. Arnold Palmer at the British Open.
R4 and break the record by a shot. Hello?
And he made it. Great shots on the final hole as Arnold Palmer breaks the record for the British Open.
Chuck McKinley at Wimbledon.
Yes, Chuck McKinley was the first American man to win since 1955, and no American would win
For others, there was agony.
Oh, Yarborough right out of the racetrack.
Did you see the punch? Did you see it?
Hitting the wall. Bouncing back across the straightaway. Boy, it's only got a couple hundred yards.
Great wave as it sends Chuck Sutherland plummeting into the air. Goes.
And Wide World continued into their second decade, the 70s.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
There were more triumphs in the 70s. Some of the biggest names in sports from around the world, including Pele of Brazil, Olga Korbut of the Soviet Union,
No margin for error. Back some he can. She did it again.
Arnold Schwarzenegger of Austria,
And what a physique he has.
Vasily Alexeyev of the Soviet Union,
He has the clean. He has it if he can hold it. He does.
and the 70s had its share of agony.
Look at that. Wow. What a crash, Keith. I don't think I've ever seen one this bad.
Vinko Bogota's agony would become Wide World's most memorable.
Oh, baby.
And Wide World captured the thrills and agonies of yet another decade, the 80s.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sport.
Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran.
Now, Leonard is in trouble. That is the one.
Mary Lou Retton.
Tumbling around front. Round off side aerial.
If you're lucky, you get
The 80s provided still more agony.
Schrader into the pack. Kent goes out with him. Allison wins the race. Baker is second.
Uppercut, and Marvis is hurt.
Relive the thrilling and agonizing moments of 3 decades of ABC's Wide World of Sports in this exclusive video collection, premiering with the 1960s and continuing through the 70s and the 80s. This is the best of ABC's Wide World of Sports, available now wherever video cassettes are sold.
I'm Jim McKay at Franklin Field in Philadelphia for the 67th Annual Penn Relay Carnival. Out in Des Moines, Iowa, the 52nd Annual Drake Relays are also underway. And in just a moment, we'll bring you all the excitement and drama of both the Penn and the Drake Relays on ABC's Wide World of Sports. In its unending variety, unfolds on ABC's Wide World of Sports, capturing the sight and sound, the emotions, the beauty and history-making achievements wherever men gather to compete in this great wide world of athletics.
It was April 29th, 1961, and those of us who stood shivering in the damp air of Franklin Field in Philadelphia that day had no idea that we were about to launch the longest-running and most successful sports anthology show in television history. Hello, I'm Jim McKay, and that was how it began. A series that was scheduled to last for 20 weeks, a summer replacement show. Well, at this point, it's beginning to look like steady work. When I said that day that we would literally travel the world to document the great sports events, I really didn't know how truly I spoke. In time, we visited 50 countries to record more than 100 different sports. As we've traveled, of course, times and techniques have changed. Black and white television has changed to sharp, brilliant color. Equipment has been miniaturized so that we can put our cameras anywhere, on the roll bar of a race car or the tip of a downhill ski. Still, that first day was quite a technical accomplishment. 2 great track and field events, the Penn and Drake Relays, both live on the same program. Also on that day, we focused on the one constant that has characterized Wide World of Sports through all the years. We focused on the individual human being, in the glare of the spotlight, lonely and fearful inside, poised for the effort of a lifetime. The human drama has always fascinated us, and we'll go anywhere to find it, whether it be Moscow or Vienna, Los Angeles, or a hotel in the Catskill Mountains of New York.
Last attempt at 7 feet 4, almost 7 feet 4 and a quarter. Val Brumel taking off the top of his sweatsuit as the rain begins to fall much harder.
You may be seeing track history right here and now. He still has about 40 yards to go.
He's going to make it. He's going to run the first 4-minute mile.
It looks like he made it unofficially. 3:58.6. What did you get, Dick?
According to my watch, 3:59 flat. No doubt about it. Jim Brady has just run the first 4-minute mile indoors in history.
Ever done that maneuver before in the World Championships?
The Grand Prix of Monaco has been run through the streets of Monte Carlo since 1929. In 1962, Wide World of Sports began its coverage of the event. America's Phil Hill chased Bruce McLaren through the wet streets in the final laps. And here is Phil Hill. He looks about 2 seconds behind right now. McLaren isn't taking it easy now. He's pouring it on. But his engine may not have any more left than this. Going around the casino turn for the last time. It's Bruce McLaren, 24 years old, from New Zealand. Setting home run hitter helped us appreciate just how high was up. Howard was there.
Let's bring him in. A man who hit 61 home runs in 61. Roger, just face this camera if you will. This, of course, is Roger Maris. Roger saw Rusty fail. Can you succeed?
No, I think I'll fail just as well as he did.
Will you try to?
As a matter of fact, I might do a better job of failing because I probably won't hit the ball.
Let's try to, Raj. And here goes Roger Maris. Oh! He really flubbed that. He called it a pop-up. Number 2 as he cautions Blanchard to watch out. Well, that's a good Roger Maris belt to deep right field. One last one. He's going to try a righty. And he hits a line shot to center field. You see, fungo hitting is not easy, is it, Roger? Even for sluggers.
That's for sure. I've never had a fungo in my hands before, so I didn't think I could hit one.
There's nobody ever going to hit the top of this dome stadium, in my opinion. What about yours, Roger?
Not mine either. It's too high.
But it's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Very beautiful.
He looks like he's going to make his move now. Oops, he's getting far enough up, and those boys are in trouble.
Oh, Yarborough right out of the racetrack. We can just see his car tumbling end over end, and that's the last we've seen of it. There's McQuagg, who was in the crash.
Saying something to Alcindor there. Perhaps we'll see a play. He tips it long. Warren's out in front of the top. That pays it up around.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
In 1967, we took on a new look as our opening went to color for the first time. The late 60s were a time of upheaval in the world, and the sportsman who typified the modern athlete better than any other was still Muhammad Ali.
It is extremely important to show you viewers round 8, because this is where I believe the real controversy about Ali began. You will see him flagrantly taunt his opponent, vocally, as he belabors him with punches. The big question as far as the press was concerned was your pitiless taunting of this man. Now, how do you defend that?
Well, I'll defend that like this, Howie. I told the press before the fight, I faced Ernie Terrell as a man to man, and I told him that my name is Muhammad Ali in the world, and the people know my name is Muhammad Ali. And this was the approach, and he deliberately insulted me publicly and said my name is Cassius Clay. But it's not so. I told Terrell, I looked the press right into their eyes, and I told them that I would do this.
I'm mad about the whooping. You're using the talking for an excuse.
One day in our studio, basketball star Wilt Chamberlain challenged Muhammad to a fight that never happened.
Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion of the world, at 7 feet 1 inch. Wilt the still Chamberlain, and what you have just seen was the decisive edge and reach that Wilt would have if these two men do in reality fight.
Ali shuffle will make you...
Show me Ali shuffle right now.
That's good for a shoe shine. That's good for a shoe shine. That's nice. That's what you're watching. That's nice to do what you're watching. And cut that beard off because I'm not fighting Billy Goat. I want to give you a target.
From Vienna, we watched as Ludmila Belousova and her husband Oleg Protopopov dazzled the audience at the World Figure Skating Championships. The finest pair skaters in history, they won gold medals at the 1964 and 1968 Olympic Winter Games.
Watch this, a double overhead. Look at the height that she gets. Here's their final pair spin. Look at the style and the position of her figure there.
And now stand by for an ovation. The Protopopovs of the Soviet Union before this crowd in Vienna.
The Yanks against the Birds of Baltimore. Mantle at the plate against an old pitching nemesis, Stu Miller. The count 3-2. Mickey the Great, that's what the banner said. And of course, here is Mickey Mantle. And I wonder if you ever felt more gratification at a crowd response than you did at that moment, Mick.
Well, I don't think I have. I had one of my biggest thrills was last year when I had Mickey Mantle Day, and the crowd gave me almost a similar thing. But I think that as far as hitting a ball or winning a ball game or anything like that, that's got to be probably one of the biggest thrills I've ever had, is the way the fans reacted after it was over with.
His name is Francis Chichester. Sir Francis now, a private school dropout at 17, later a miner, a door-to-door salesman, a gold prospector, but most of all, a sailor. It's the effort that counts, not the success.
The white flag for A.J. Foyt. He had 2 laps to go before, but now all he has to do is negotiate each of these 4 turns one more time, and it's all over. Will win his 3rd Indianapolis 500. And there's an accident in the front straightaway. There's 2, 3, 4 cars. Where's Foyt? I don't know whether he can get through or not. Another car hitting the wall, bouncing back across the straightaway. Foyt's only got a couple hundred yards to go, but where is he? There he is. He's going to get through. A.J. Foyt will win the Indianapolis 500. In an incredible, thrilling finish.
2 weeks later, Foyt, the man from Houston, was racing in Europe's great 24 Hours of Le Mans for the first time. Racing and winning. Here we're congratulating him with teammate Dan Gurney. Instead of the milk bottle at Indy, it was champagne on the victory stand in France.
Jim Ryan is at least 50 yards in front of the second-place man. 2 turns to go.
Jim has been strong the whole way, so it's hard to tell. He did accelerate coming around the turn.
The entire crowd on its feet as Jim Ryan pounds for home. 20 yards to go. And 10. We get 350.9 on the clock.
Well, the official time was 3:51.1.
Close to $1 million worth of motorcycle equipment lined up here in the Mojave Desert for the start of the cross-country motorcycle championship. A Le Mans start, the bikes apart, engines dead, the flag is up. And here they go. The riders must run about 10 yards to reach their bike, and here the start is most important. Some fire right away, some are a little late. But most of the field is now in motion, and from this view in our helicopter with cameraman Nelson Tyler, it looks like a giant ant farm. You'll see them go streaking across this flat portion of the Mojave at high speed because they have had the opportunity to examine this area of the course, and this only area of the course. The rest of it they'll be running for the first time. So they'll be going across here at speeds up to 70 miles an hour, and some of the gamblers may go even faster. And here already you begin to see why it is so important to get out in front, because running back in that dust you just simply can't see. And what do you think the desert wildlife thinks about this now? Wow.
In Geneva, we watched Peggy Fleming's farewell performance at the World Figure Skating Championships. Carol Height's 1964 prophecy had come true. Peggy was a gold medal winner at the Grenoble Olympics, and here she was wrapping up her third straight world championship. She was an Olympic champion, the Wide World of Sports Athlete of the Year in 1967, and the Queen of the Ice in the 1960s.
Standing lead at the end of the school figures. Structured combination. First. Half loop. 1.5 loop and a double toe loop. Over the head here for a final spin.
You've been watching by satellite what could be the farewell amateur performance of Peggy Fleming of the United States, trying to retain her world championship here in Geneva, Switzerland.
We've come to the final moment. Moses Garcia must total 55 points in the final dive in this competition if the Mexican team is to defeat the Americans in the first international meeting here off the cliffs of Acapulco. Moses Garcia now on the cliff. Moses Garcia, a veteran. He must have 6, 6, 7. He's got to have a total of 55 points in order for the Mexican team to win this international event. The Americans have done much, much better than many, many people thought they might. They have dueled the Mexicans in their home ground to this final exciting moment, the final dive of the day. The man's name, Moses Garcia.
Moses' dive was a winner, and Mexico gained the cliff diving championship. The World Lumberjack Championships were not a made-for-TV sport that disappeared once the cameras left town. This was a sport built on the real labors of America's loggers.
Oh, Shannon's in trouble. There's quite a surprise.
We continue with the finals of the Duke Kahanamoku Surf Classic. This is Jock Sutherland coming off the lip of a massive wave, and he gets great speed coming down the face of the wave and streaks across the face. Look at the speed that Jock Sutherland's been able to get. His surface bumpy, uneven, kind of like a rough ski trail, and Sutherland is wiped out. But here's Fred Hemmings Jr. again. That search for the wave. He's up, and he is on his way. Fred Hemmings Jr., who has surfed these waves since he was a boy, 185-pound man dropping down the face, picking up the speed. Jock Sutherland at the left and Rick Gregg at the right. They've got a whopper. This is maybe one of the best waves of the day. Look at the fantastic power of this great wave as it sends Jock Sutherland plummeting into the air. Goes the board that had the appearance of a kick out by Sutherland.
Mario Andretti was out for practice in a Lotus, one of the cars prepared and designed by Colin Chapman. A beautiful-looking thing. As Clint Broder watched, suddenly, there was a crash. It looked like real disaster for Mario Andretti.
And of course, Art Pollard was right behind there in a very dangerous situation.
Well, here it is again, Roger. Into the wall, the nose flew off completely, wheels off.
And you can see Mario jumping out almost before the car is stopped.
I feel fine. Ready to go with the other car.
And they're beginning to talk all over again and write all over again about the martinet and the dictator and the man who in truth can be a heel, cruel, brutal, and so on. You chuckled as I said it, but you know that this kind of criticism exists.
I know it does, Howard, and I thought that was one of the reasons I think that caused my retirement for a year. Really was that kind of talk. But it's back again, and I just don't understand why. But I'm not going to let it bother me this time, really, because there's very little truth in it.
I would say, if any truth in it. I think if you speak to anybody, any of the players, I think they'll say that he'll dispel that, I think, almost immediately.
Why do you hate Lombardi?
I don't hate Lombardi. I love it.
Sam Huff loved the flat-out honesty of Lombardi, his directness, whether laughing or chewing out a lazy player. In a day of chilly cynicism, one had to admire a man who said what he thought, lived what he believed, and died his untimely death in courageous dignity. ABC's Wide World of Sports has been blessed throughout its existence by the dignity and courage of its athletes, whether it was Vince Lombardi or Valerie Brumel, Peggy Fleming, or Arnold Palmer. Certainly, we introduced technical innovations that today have become routine, but what we're proudest of always is the athletes. We knew from the beginning that we'd be showing sports to people who didn't know or care about many of the events, so we focused on the individual. Now all of sports television introduces you to the athlete, but we're proud that we were the first to take you up close and personal. I hope you've enjoyed this look back at Wide World of Sports in the 60s, but don't forget all the excitement and achievements of the 70s and the 80s are also available on video cassette. It's a special package that traces the history of this trailblazing series and is sure to become a collector's item. Don't miss it. Thanks for watching this one. I'm Jim McKay, and I hope that I'll see you soon, somewhere in this wide world of sports.
Nothing beats it.
Nothing beats it.
The one and only.
Nothing beats it.
The clean, the crisp, the cold. The king of beers.
Nothing beats a bud. Nothing beats the king of beers. Nothing beats a